Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 Index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed on Nasdaq. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining me this Tuesday afternoon, we have Coffey, market strategist at TD Ameritrade, to discuss Nasdaq-100 performance. We'll also take a look at trends in the Nasdaq-100 Volatility Index and a heat map of what stocks are performing and underperforming. Alex, it's great to have you as always. Let's kick it off with your first chart here and get some fresh levels to watch in the Nasdaq-100.
Yeah, for those who recall, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about kind of keeping things simple, particularly, Jill, when times are a little bit more uncertain. And so we go back to our chart, 90-day time horizon, 4 hours for each one of these candles. And we left our same three lines here. So for those who didn't catch that last time, I set up somewhat like a traffic light, something we're all familiar with, as we've seen this more of a sell the rally type of a market, also accompanied with some dip buying throughout the year of 2022. So up at the top, we had the 13,000 point mark in the NDX as our red kind of caution sign that went back to the early parts of the summer. Then we were at the last time, a couple of weeks ago, when we had chatted, we were kind of settling around that 12,000 point mark. And we're talking about how it's not necessarily an area that we could see buyers come in, but it didn't necessarily mean that more selling was going to happen. It was somewhat cautionary, sort of a slowdown signal. Maybe don't increase risk here, but maybe not bail on the risk quite yet either. And looking back now, in hindsight, it certainly did lead to more selling and lower levels. As now we approach sort of that green support level of our prior lows from the early parts of the summer down near the 11,000 point mark. So we're at a critical juncture here, I would say, in the market for those who have somewhat of a contrarian bone in their body and maybe are looking for opportunities in this recent weakness. This 11,000 point mark, as signaled by our green line on that chart, are possibly an entry point that could be interesting.
All right, and let's take a look at the Nasdaq-100 Volatility Index. Anything you can see from volatility, if it would suggest that we have a little bit more chop ahead?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we see obviously a steep rise in volatility over the last few trading sessions, particularly post the Federal Reserve statements and meeting in which Jerome Powell kind of added some market volatility, to say the least. However, we have seen a point where, at least intraday, the market has started to come back just ever so slightly, and we have seen a kind of a leveling off of the VOLQ, which is that Nasdaq volatility up around this 36 point mark. This is still quite elevated, Jill. When you compare this to the rest of this year's trading action, we're up near those highs as signified on that same 90-day time horizon as we see here on that chart. We did peak out around 38, 32 in the early parts of the summer, and we'll see if we test that level once again, as we haven't quite made a new low in the Nasdaq-100. If we are to make a new low, it wouldn't be surprised to see a new high in VOLQ alongside that.
And to wrap up here, what about what you can tell from the heat map here? Who's underperforming? Who's overperforming?
Yeah, one of the things that really sticks out today, as opposed to the last time we chatted, Jill, was every single name was down last time we talked. There were 0 names that were up on the session. Today is a far different story. Even though a bit of more of a mixed market here, it's been chopping around. We actually have a quite significant NASDAQ component outperformance relative to the overall broad market. Right now, in real time, about 60% of the Nasdaq-100 is in green territory. So more than half of these names are outperforming, led by names that we know well. Apple and Tesla in particular, both charting very nice days here today. And, you know, Apple and Tesla, just solely off market cap alone, carry significant weight in the Nasdaq-100. So these are the names that you want to see outperform if you're bullish in an index like the Nasdaq-100, but you'd also like to see some of its other peers join, like Microsoft, Alphabet, and Amazon, as they're also quite substantial mathematically.
All right, Alex, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks, Jill.